Good morning, Softball America. Happy summer. July is almost over. We are bebopping, ready for August, and we're glad that you're here. Gray Robertson, Tara Henry. This is viewers, listeners. We're glad that you're here. We'll tell you when to subscribe, chat's open, etc. I just want to say this is the first time I've seen Tara in like with my eyes since we all left OKC. So partner, it's good to be back with you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just so happy that we're back doing this. It's been quite a summer and I'm recovering a little bit from some jet lag, I'm not going to lie. So I'm not as sharp, but I got so much to share, and what a summer it's been. I know you've been all over, I've been all over. We'll be able to bring both of those adventures and travels together, and just want everybody to let us know where you're tuning in from. Hi, we missed you all. Fang, I love that you were number one on that chat. It was great to see your name up there. Hi, Rebecca. Great to see you all. So let us know where you're tuning in from. We've got loads to talk about, and we're going to start our rules. Summer, what are we calling it? Rules?
The Softball Rule Book Club.
The Rule Book Club, which we have started late in the summer.
Yes. So here's the thing. Some of us were calling triple and quadruple headers every day, and others of us were coaching internationally and not operating on the same time zones as some of us. So look, we've made it work. We're going to do kind of each episode, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into this as we go through a rules change year. We'll talk about some of the big controversial rules. We'll talk about some of the wording in the rule book. This is a hefty packet of paper, and sometimes the language is a little unclear. Sometimes it's a little bit too clear. We're going to talk about some of the proposed changes, and we'll get to that later in the episode. But we're starting, Tara, with the most famous appendix in college sports, Appendix G.
Every time we say Appendix G, it's like, should we take this out? Like, you got to get your appendix out. Every time we say it, that's what I think of in my head because of what happened at the Women's College World Series. But instead of taking it out, we're going to go over it. We're going to start with Appendix G. We were going to start from the beginning of the rule book. Gray and I went back and forth on how this format should be. But I think going over video review, because it's probably the most controversial part of our game at this moment in time, will be good. And we'll go over the suggested rule changes as well, which I've got those and some highlights happening there.
Yes. I was interested, and again, we'll remind you all to subscribe in a moment, but just a small aside, when the article came out of what they were going to talk about with the rules committee this year and what they're going to add, I thought it was so interesting that one of the biggest subsets was video review. Again, they're listening, which I like, but at the same time, it's like, man, where are we in the video review process, I guess? And that'll be a discussion that we'll have about whether video review is actually helping or if it's kind of not. Again, well, tabled for later because we've got a lot that we're going to discuss with pro ball, international ball, college ball, and high school ball. But Tara, first things first, if you're new here, welcome, hello. What should the people do on the YouTube?
Head on over. Well, if you're on YouTube, you can subscribe and like this video. If you're watching it later as well. Make sure that you like it. If you're over on Twitter, head on over to YouTube and watch us over there to help us out over on YouTube. And then again, all of the incredible articles up on the site. I know it feels like we're in a bit of a lull, but there's some really great stuff up on the website right now. Brady just did a deep dive in South Carolina's transfer new transfers. That's up there. We've got info on PGF Nationals, Alliance Nationals, and of course the inaugural season of the AUSL. All the info on the Talons taking that first title. What an incredible performance by that pitching staff, and some huge clutch plays by my girl Tori Vidalis. Was fun to watch her just shine on the biggest stage. So again, head on over there, like and subscribe, and then obviously you can leave comments, and the chat is open. Love it. I love that we're getting going here. What day is it? Is it still July? It's July 30th.
Yeah, I think it's Wednesday. Days of the week. Not something.
Yep. Not good with them right now.
No. We are going to start with the pro/international ranks of softball, and we're going to begin with the Tuscaloosa Talons winning the first AUSL championship, because, man, what a scene and what a summer overall for the AUSL. Just an absolute banger. They did a great job. The marketing was incredible. I had a lot of people not even affiliated with softball who were texting me watching this game. And I'm like, oh, really? Wow. So you found the pro game in year one. The ratings were huge. Sellouts were off the charts. To have it end at a place where I call home, where I've called a lot of softball games, to watch the crowd really get into it, to see two great teams, the Bandits and the Talons, battle it out. It was just a great summer. It was a great championship series. And frankly, Montana doing what she did was one of the reasons why she's so special. But it was exactly right. A lot of other pieces leading to that moment. Georgina Korick, the pitcher of the year, was awesome all summer long, especially when she was able to arrive. And the Talons wouldn't have been there without George doing what she did. Tori Vidalis making great plays on the infield, and Sydney Romero, as Brady tweeted, sometimes that Sooner magic just pops up. You never know. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful event, a wonderful way to close out the pro season. And I feel like the perfect showcase for how bright the future is in AUSL.
Absolutely. And Gray, I agree with you on all fronts. I think it all started with the golden ticket, and that set the tone for the entire first season. I know our girl Sam Fisher has been a big part alongside Kim Ng in making this thing run, but you got to hand it to the athletes for their play all season long. It was a short, condensed season. I think it was a lot after that first part of the season, the break. A lot of those players went to the USA camp, were a little bit beat up from that, but that's what happens. I think they're figuring out how to actually make this thing work. And when you see sellout after sellout, when you see young softball players showing up to the ballpark hours early just to see their hero in the circle or in the box, that is what makes this so special. And I hats off to the entire AUSL team, from their content team to upper management to the players. I've been so impressed. And, selfishly, I was hoping it was going to go to 3 games because my flight landed right as that second game started. But it was just a joy to watch. And again, it feels different. This feels very, very different. For the first time, we've got a pro league that feels like it's going to be here for a really, really long time. And I just can't say enough about what we are able to witness this season. And we had other pro teams across the country as well.
Yeah, and just to piggyback a little bit on your thought about the league as a whole, it was so interesting being there for the Volts Talon series in Tuscaloosa, watching that with my eyes, and then watching the postseason on TV while I was up in Indiana. More on that in a minute. It felt legit. It felt very, very real. It felt big. It felt important. And as much as I've enjoyed watching AU and all the other pro softball leagues and games and teams over the years, this had like a gravitas that you need for it to be a big deal to the public. And I felt like this league had that. you could see on social media, you could see in the crowds all across the country, people bought into certain teams. They started to find their team who they were pulling for. And once they add two more squads and pick all the home bases, which we can have a discussion about, I'm sure, for a moment before we talk about your international travels, uh,
Yep.
I think we're going to see this get even bigger. I think I don't know if they could have had a better year one. Honestly, I mean, again, the marketing was smashed. Everything about the product was exceptional, and pretty much all the players delivered. Like all the stars kind of were stars all summer long, and that's what made it really special.
Yeah, and I know we've got an interview with Erin Koffel up on our social channels. Can't say enough about her. You mentioned Georgina Korek, obviously very familiar with George. Really impressed with her ability to just make things happen and really get big outs when needed. And the Talons, I think Lisa Fernandez did a really nice job putting that team together. And Howard Dobson and Kirk Walker. I really I was really impressed with the Talons, and it was unfortunate that Skylar Wallace got hurt there. I think that hurt the Bandits, but it's just so exciting. And then the Volts, so much talent on that Volts team, and Blade, like there's just talent all the way across the board. And I think when we start to see what cities they're going to be based in, we're really going to start to see this thing hum and really get a ton of momentum, because I think that's the next step. And I really do like how AUSL handled this, and traveling to see what cities brought in the most attendance. And so I am excited to see where they could possibly. I mean, I think you just named the Tuscaloosa Talons. I think you just called it. I don't know if that's a real thing. That's a Gray thing. But it would be really cool to have a pro team in Tuscaloosa.
I'll just say this. And articles were posted on AL.com, and I'm not breaking anything. Alabama's in the running to be the host of the Talons, and I don't know, unless there was like a city ordinance logistical issue, why that wouldn't happen, especially if Montana is still on that roster next year. And there are going to be some changes. I don't know if all the roster machinations are public, and I'm not going to talk about it here, but there are going to be some shifts between teams. They're also adding two teams. I'm about 99% sure somebody will be in Oklahoma. The Bandits, I'm about 99.9% sure they will be in Chicago.
Yeah.
The Volts surely will be in Texas. And I'm not quite sure where the Blaze are going to go. They kind of use this season as an opportunity to see what cities would make good fits. And also there are more cities that maybe they didn't make it to this year that they want to hear from. So nothing is set in stone, but it's going to be really exciting to see these fan bases start to grow as we get into year two, and we get to see more and more people from the college game make that transition into the pro level.
Absolutely. And it's just an exciting time to be a part of women's softball. It's an exciting time to be a part of women's sports. And this is the point in which we see, that product on the field, that the players delivered, the coaches delivered. So now it's up to us and the fans and each and every one of you to continue to support this league, not only AUSL, but all women's softball, and be a huge proponent and a huge advocate for the growth of this sport. So yeah, again, can't say enough about it. I don't really have any complaints other than the weather. That's my only real complaint, and you can't really control that. So no complaints for me. I thought it was a fantastic first season.
Sadly, that can be our lives sometime down here. Parker has a good comment. Very curious how an expansion draft looks if it exists. I feel like the Bandits' Talons wouldn't be able to protect all their stars. From what I understand, they will not be able to protect everybody. So that's going to be kind of the interesting piece. There will be some protected picks, but not everybody. And I don't know the full numbers, but that's something that's being discussed right now. And last thing, Tara, before we go to your international travels with Team GB, because I want to hear all about your trip to Spain. Talking to Erin Koffel and Lexi Kilfoyle and Morgan Zirkle and Montana and a lot of players this past week, one of the things that stuck out to me the most was also what Mackenzie Clark said on our season finale way back at the end of the World Series. It was about the preparation and how much they enjoyed being on a set team again, being able to watch film and prepare for hitters and kind of game plan and, live basically a short and truncated version of what they were doing in college for 4 years. I think that is the piece that is really going to make this stick. And as more fans get invested in teams and players on teams, and my assumption and hope would be after this year, there wouldn't be a ton of roster flipping. Maybe they're able to grow the number of protected picks and people go in a pool and whatever as they continue to expand. But it's the fact that now you're even seeing greater enjoyment for the players too. That I feel like is going to help this work in the long haul. And shout out to Synergy. Allison's watching. Proud of USL partner.
Yes.
Look, we're all checking out film all the time, and the players were doing it a lot this summer, more so than they've ever had to do in their pro careers. Shout out to Synergy and everybody else who made sure that those operations were possible and allowed those players to prep for their next opponents. I thought that piece was really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Synergy, we're a proud partner with Synergy. All of our deep dives and videos come from Synergy. So just really lucky and fortunate to be able to do that and be able to analyze and take a look at what pitchers and hitters are doing. And I think that's a huge step for the league. And I know that it's different for some players. Some players want to see it. Some players don't want to see video, but a lot of data, a lot of analytics behind there to understand which zones they're throwing to and how many times and percentage wise. So yeah, shout out to Synergy. Last thing for me, I'm so interested to see where these players go. Like, we'll take into account like a Jadalyn Alchin, like having just a credible season. Then my Brady comes back from being injured and she's no longer on the Talons, but has a great season. And so there's just so many players in the draft. Whew. We'll see what happens there. Just a lot of upside to AUSL, and couldn't be more excited for the future of our sport.
Well, and I'll just add, like, depending on the protective number of players, like, what's the strategy there? Because if I'm the Talons, I'm looking at how I won this championship, and I'm saying, well, depending on how many players I can protect, I'm 100% keeping Coric, Fouts, and Faramo, and having that be my core three staff. If I'm the Bandits, I'm going, well, shoot, we had the best offense in the league. I'm going to hold on to our top four bats and, see how the chips fall beyond that. So that's the other part. These GMs are going to really have to talk with the coaches, with the players, and host cities are going to be impactful as well. Like, if the Talons do come to Tuscaloosa, don't be an idiot. You better keep Montana Fouts on that roster. And there are other, if the Volts say we're to go in Oklahoma, I would recommend holding on to Sam Landry because that'll help drum up interest for your team. So there are a lot of different ways that this is going to break down as we move forward. It's a fascinating conversation. And how cool is it that we just spent 10 minutes talking about pro softball with like fervor and excitement, and I can't wait for what's next.
I know. Great, get out of my head. I was singing the same thing. I literally was looking, saying, wow, we've been talking about pro softball for that long. I can't believe it. That tells you the people want it. That tells you we're all excited about it. So I hope those that are out there, I hope you start investing in pro softball, in college softball, in youth softball, because this sport is so, so special and allows us to have all these incredible memories and see these great performances and tell the stories of those incredible athletes that are on the field.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to sit back and let you cook because we're going to talk about international ball now. Tara, where were you this summer?
Well, first of my two big trips this summer with Great Britain. I just got back 2 days ago from Pamplona, Spain. Let me tell you, it is an incredible part of the world. It was in the north of Spain. I flew into Bilbao. Then it was about an hour and 45-minute drive through the Spanish countryside to Pamplona, which is well known for running of the bulls. It was not during the running of the bulls, but it is in that city. So was there for the under-18 championships. And it's so different coaching the under-18s than it is the women's national team. But I was so proud of our young ones. We had such a mix of 14-year-olds. At one point we had a pitcher and a catcher that were 14 that were actually starters in the game, so started a game. And then we had all the way up to our 18s who had been a couple years playing for the program, but just had such a great time. And I come back from each and every one of these tours with just so much love and such a full heart and for our sport, because I don't really think there's anything quite like playing for your country or a country and hearing the national anthem and It is so pure gray. I hope people understand how pure that the sport is at that level still. I'm not saying that it's not here or through college, but there's a lot of things that are involved now with the transfer portal, with NIL deals. So every trip I make with Great Britain and are able to not only be a part of a team, of a country, to represent Britain, to have an incredible group of athletes come together, I just, gosh, it really fills my soul. We didn't get, on paper, we didn't do as well as we would have liked, but this team and these young ones starting to understand what it means to be a good teammate, starting to understand what it means to be held accountable, what it means to have some grit, some resiliency, how to bounce back, and after starting 0-3, come back and win the next 4 games. So I loved that. I love to see how they responded, and the future is so bright. The future is so bright for Great Britain. The future is so bright for our sport, and I recommend anybody that wants to be a part of it that they try and do it, because there's really nothing truly like it. And the food in Spain, oh my gosh, Gray. Whew, let me tell you. I mean, if you like, various meats hanging from, I know you would love this. The cheese, the meat, the food is so fresh. My skin is clearer. There's just not a ton of things in the food there. Like, it's just, and the people were so welcoming. And WBSC Europe, they did an incredible job with this tournament. There's a lot of logistical things that were difficult for the local organizing committee, and they just did a really nice job making sure that we were able to get on the field of play, but had an incredible coaching staff with Nate Headley, who's our new hitting coach for the women's national team. He's a part of 108 Performance, with MK Wheat and Alyssa Davis. That was our coaching staff, and then an incredible support staff. So just had a great time, and hopefully you're all able to watch those games, and I'll be a little bit better about posting those links so you guys can keep track. But we'll be heading to Prague, Czech Republic, for the women's national team at the end of August. So first week of September will be women's senior European. So plenty of stuff that's going on. But again, my heart is full. My cup is full. I just love the sport.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, I know you do. I can see them like going in your head. I'm like, I'm just going to keep talking. Maybe he'll forget one.
No, I never do. So first off, your early comment about this kind of being the last vestige of purity in the sport, that was immediately where my head went right before you said that. So clearly we have not lost touch after many weeks off talking with each other on this pod, because it is. I mean, now with college softball, you and Brady did a great job on the Portal show. I'm honestly glad I wasn't on there. I would have had some takes. I don't know if the world would have been able to handle some of my takes, but it's not like that anymore in college softball. And now with pro, it's great that pro softball's there, but there's also a paycheck involved. And for the most part with international softball, you're just going because you love the game and because you love where you're from. And that's really, really cool. And especially for that opportunity for the younger kids, the 18Us, the chance to kind of understand, like you talked about, not just how they're going to react in a game, but what that stage actually means and where they could be in 28 and 32 and beyond. That's the part that's important, to give them that experience. So I love what you said about that. I thought that was right on the money.
Yeah. And Lane asked if I was British. I'm not British, but I lived in Europe for almost 4 years. So I lived on the south coast of England, in Eastbourne, and got my degree in sport for international development and peace. So lived in England for 2 years, and then traveled did work in Czech Republic, Croatia, Malta, Spain. So I just really fell back in love with the sport when I was over there in Europe. So it just has a really special place in my heart. But I'm not British. But if you know anybody that's British, send them my way, and that plays softball.
I also want to ask about kind of preparing for 28 a little bit. I'm not going to ask you to reveal all the secrets, but it's summer of 25. We're starting to see, I know Team USA is starting to kind of round out who is in the mix for what and all that jazz. Where are you as the head coach of Team GB in that process, trying to figure out who's going to be representing Team Great Britain, hopefully at the Olympics in 28?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question because I think there's a couple different ways to go about it. And I know different programs are taking very different looks at it. But in terms of Great Britain, this is probably the biggest part of what we're trying to do. And that's why last year we took the under 22s and this year we took the under 18s to understand what that pipeline looks like and understand if there's an athlete that could potentially play in 28, that could potentially play in Brisbane in 2032 if it is so in the Olympics. So that is what we're working on right now. And again, we've got, a different squad this year. And a lot of you are going to know a lot of those players that are heading out to Prague, in Georgina Corrick, obviously, and Jazzy Francic, and Peyton Monticelli. There's just some names that
Newest LSU Tiger, Peyton Monticelli?
Yes, who's now an LSU Tiger. Let's hope that she'll still be able to make it to Prague. I guess I got to call Beth and make sure that we can make sure she's still going to Prague.
Of all times for Nick Torina to not be in the chat, Nick, now is when we need you.
I know, Nick, we need you to talk to Beth. So right now it's just figuring out our solid foundation, and we've got a pretty great solid foundation. But the next 2-3 years, that's going to be key in figuring out what the schedule looks like, what the travel looks like. Are we going to be in Canada Cup? Probably at some point we'll be heading to Canada Cup to play there and really finding some games. Hopefully play some of these pro teams in the next year. But again, it's looking at our youth, looking at our pipeline, and then really narrowing it down and trying to get that squad named as early as possible, just to allow those athletes to prepare and have some time to be at their best.
All right, my last question about your trip to Spain. It is about to be 10:30 a.m. Central Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask this question because I just, I have a Monday tradition. What was the wine like in Spain?
The wine?
Yeah, the wine. Was it just exquisite? Did you not have a chance because you were at the fields until midnight every day?
I was going to say, I didn't really get to go to the Rioja region, which I've been before, where the wine is great. But I would say it's good. Like I didn't get to have a ton, but I would say if you're going to go to Spain, visit the Rioja region because it's an incredible part of the country. And I'm more of a white wine drinker, but didn't really get to have a ton because just we're working.
Yeah,
trying to win ball games. But
hey, I know
the
how
food,
it goes.
the steak, I had the best steak dinner on the last night in Bilbao, where they brought out the big steak and then they had cut it up into small pieces, and then we were able to cook it on our own grill and had beef jerky with this like amazing olive oil, and then these massive prawns that were garlic prawns, like that meal. I have got photos. Ooh. That meal was delicious.
I can't believe I haven't received these pictures yet. Look, possible business idea, because I know, Tara, you definitely don't do enough. We should put together travel brochures for international places based on what you've done and sell them.
I mean, we could.
I can do Scotland and you can do all the other countries.
Oh, Lane, that's a funny one. They do not have Boone's Farm. I don't think so. Maybe.
Well, hopefully one day I will join Tara on one of her international excursions, and we can do like a Stanley Tucci's like Italian show. We'll like do that, but just like get some steak and a glass of wine or two, and just get to enjoy the vistas of Europe. That would be wonderful. And then Tara can leave. You can go write a lineup, and I'll just hang.
Yeah, that's part of it. Oh man.
Anything else on the pro or international side before we talk a little bit about college ball?
I know Fang had asked a question about when Team USA was leaving for China. I'm not quite sure about that, but I think it's a couple days before the World Games start. So I guess we could probably find that out for you, but I think they're leaving. They should be leaving 3 or 4 days beforehand. I'm going to tell you all that jet lag and dealing with it and athletes is no joke. And so that is one thing that we always try to do, is get there as early as possible, just to make sure that that's not an issue.
I like it. I like it. Let's talk a little college ball real quick. I just want to shout out a few people from the FGCL who had great summers. Layla Lamar going
Mm.
to Duke. I did pose the question on the air. I was like, does Coach Young have to declare when she calls her daughter whether she's calling to be like, hey, like, what are you doing for dinner? Or, hey, would you like to come to Duke? Like, do you have to, like, how does that work? I was very, very curious. And it was so cool to see Marissa Young and basically the entire family there for the playoff run for the Slice, watching Layla Lamar, who won Offensive Player of the Year, just go off. I mean, she's gonna do very well at Duke, and I can't wait to see her kind of get a shot to shine in the ACC this year. I was blown away by her.
And what is that going to be like? I can't even imagine playing for my mom. I had to go to school when my mom taught at the same school in middle school, and I can't even imagine being in Mary Henry's Spanish class, let alone like I remember I used to take my learning logs. I don't know if you had a learning log, but you have a learning log of the day and your parents had to sign it. Like my mom's gonna just be so mad if she's watching this right now. I would like take it in to my mom's classroom and be like, Mom, can you please sign my learning log? Like I just like that's so interesting how that mother-daughter relationship is gonna work. And my mom was like so strict and in the enforcer. So that's going to be something cool to watch. But how special is that she gets to share that with her daughter? And again, Layla gets to have her mom as her coach. I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic. But what a storyline! And like you said, she's going to shine at Duke, and that's really really cool. Anybody else at FGCL, Gray?
Yeah, Lily Parrish from North Carolina, the MVP. This was not much of a discussion when we were talking about it. We were like, all right, well, who's going to win? Blah, 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 blah. Well, MVP is going to Lily Parrish because she was the most important bat on her team. And she was on a team, Tara, with two pitchers. So the way that Ashley Prangy kind of operated it was you could either split up every game or you could just have the pitchers go game in and game out. So basically, yeah. Lily Parrish threw like 15 complete games in like 3.5 weeks, and she was 9-1, something like that. She led the league in strikeouts. She was second in ERA, and that was very, very impressive in a year where the offenses as a whole were about as good as they've ever been. Her grittiness, she was like dog tired, and the other pitcher kind of had an injury one day, and Lily Parrish had to come back out and throw a second day in a row, and she was awesome. And that was the game where I was looking, going, all right, okay, that like this is your MVP, and this is a kid who's got it up here and here as well as the talent. And that a part of some of the transfer portal people they got, and the thing that Brady's saying right now is why North Carolina is a team that could fill that ever empty but always filled each and every year 4 spot in the ACC. I think that North Carolina is building the right way. They've got the right kids. I think that they've done a really good job surrounding and filling needs this summer. Lily Parrish impressed me, and I can't wait to see what North Carolina does in 2026.
Yeah, Brady's high on the Tar Heels. I love when Brady just chimes in. You can just jump on Brady. I don't know what's going on.
I'll send you the link, pal.
But I love when Brady jumps in here. Again, anybody else, Gray, FGCL, before we get to youth, PGF and Alliance?
Amaya Doyle from Tennessee was really, really great. I want to make sure I mention Fia Zelenka from Southeastern University, not Southeastern Louisiana, but Southeastern the Fire, who are down in Florida. And she was, I believe, pitcher of the year last year in the Sun Conference. She comes in. Again, this is a year where the offenses are the best they've ever been, and she's coming in from a lower level, and she was probably the most fun pitcher for me to watch, which really, really impressed me. I think that she's got a very, very bright future. Her changeup was filthy. And, when you're striking out 7-8 a game against kids who are at Tennessee and North Carolina and Florida and Auburn and all these other places, that sticks out. So Fia Zelenka, I want to make sure that I mention her. And I mean, honestly, it was a great summer. We had a great summer. Thank you to all the players who came, who had all the fun, we hope, who enjoyed the schedule, who enjoyed the playoffs. I felt like it was a really successful season. Tom and I had a great time. So shout out to all the college kids who came to the FGCL. Let's get into the future.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But best thing you had this summer for like food wise, FGCL?
Ooh. Well, the best thing,
the food drop in.
the best thing I had okay, here's one in Florida. Tom and I did one night before I had to leave the next day, go for one of my 2 times I had to go. We went to a beachside restaurant and I got a crab salad sandwich, basically a chicken salad sandwich, except with crab.
Yum. Oh,
just
yum.
Exquisite.
Like
just
blue crab?
Yes. And we watched the sunset.
Oh,
it was great.
We need to start putting photos up of these things. We'll get you guys. We're a little rusty here.
Yeah.
Got jet lag. Have been a couple weeks.
I know. I got to go pick up like 3 cakes today. That's the whole thing.
I think that's what you were going to say.
I do. I have cakes. I have to get them. I have to pick them up. If you know, you know. I actually don't think anybody watching knows, and that's okay. Check Instagram later. You'll see what's up.
I don't know. Okay, keep going.
All right. Before we get to the future, last thing, make sure you go read Brady's top 25, way too early top 25. I am still editing mine because I keep changing my mind. So I have also written one. Brady's is very, very detailed, and I love it. And I am writing mine, and it will be fun to compare those two and then kind of see who's right when we get closer. But go check out Brady's top 25. Mine will be soon, I promise. But yeah, that's college. And as we get to the future, let's flash Cheyenne up on the screen. Good morning to the tenacious Tara and gracious Gray. Sorry I'm late.
Morning, Cheyenne. Good
Hello.
morning. So wait, transfer. Do you want to go? There's also transfer rankings up on the site as well.
Yes.
Top 5, Texas Tech, Oregon, Georgia, OU, Arkansas. Any thoughts on that, Gray? I've got one thought.
You say yours first.
I feel like Oregon shouldn't be number 2. I just think that the addition of a high quality arm is, and maybe like Georgia, OU. I think Oregon's a little too high, but that's my only thought on that. But I will say I'm huge on high on the Oregon Ducks in general, and I already had the greatest conversation with her this summer. But in terms of transfer rankings, these aren't just rankings; these are just transfer class rankings.
Yes, I'm a pull up a list because I agree. So the Georgia class is interesting. I don't really know where to put them because a lot of those people, like Bailey Lindemuth, got a lot of experience with Texas Tech, but a lot of those people are going to be asked to do things that they haven't had to do in a league that is tougher than where they're coming from. And I really want to see how it translates is kind of where I'm going with that. Like Addison Fisher's obviously talented, but she's about to go from being the number 3 at UCLA in the Big Ten, who was probably the second best conference in America last year, to being the number 1 at an SEC school. And that's a different kind of pressure. Maddie Johnson from Georgia Southern was awesome last season. How does that translate in the SEC? You know, the last couple of years, we have not seen a ton of wide-ranging success from mid-major pitchers who've moved into the Southeastern Conference. So I just, I want to know. I can't necessarily declare it like a full slam dunk until I see a little evidence. I'm a big evidence guy. Y'all know this. But there are just, it's going to be interesting to see how Tony Baldwin handles that, because I also think there are a lot of good vibes in the Georgia program after talking with some of their players this summer. And it's just going to be all about how it comes together.
Yeah, I think, honestly, Gray, I think she's going to be just fine, especially if we throw a down ball. There's just not a lot of elite down ball pitchers, and you see that if you can keep the ball in the yard, especially in the SEC, you're going to be okay. So my thoughts is that I think that Fisher is going to be just fine at Georgia. But Fang's question, he does take into account who they lost as well. on the transfer rankings, Brady.
Yeah.
So he does take that into account, just so you guys know that.
I'm looking to see if I didn't really have any other. I mean, I think it's a good list, Brady. Good job.
It's a great list. That was my comment, and I just was saying being controversial, so that was my only comment.
I'll answer this question. Annie Pride says, Gray, what do you see Brooke Wells' role being in Bama's pitching staff? I don't think in the pitching staff. Probably a first base DP situation. Maybe. I haven't talked to Lance. I've been in Indy for a while, but I think that there's a lot of confidence in the pitchers who are coming in, the freshmen, Ailey Johnson, Brisky, Brea, that if Brooke Wells wanted to pitch, it probably would not be as a starter. It would be probably as a emergency reliever. But that's just a total guess on my part. My assumption is that she was brought in specifically for the bat and for someone to be a DP or first baseman.
There's Brady. He's taking care of Baylor. So everybody wishing Baylor good thoughts. He's not feeling well. But yes, taking into account who the team loses and who they gain.
Love it. Okay, the future.
The future. Somebody asked a question about the future, but you can go and preface it. Lane. When Softball America scouts high school talent, how do you guys do the scout? For example, what makes Alyssa Parker so fantastic? Well, Alyssa Parker is a two-way player and elite on both sides of the ball. When you take a look at scout, kind of basic, what we're looking for is a lot of what they use kind of on the baseball side as well. We don't really have a scale on the softball side, but in speaking to oh, Grace got some numbers.
This is from the All-Star game, the Alliance All-Star game.
I was like, he's going to pull up Alyssa's numbers. Is that what's happening?
Well, I can tell you a lot about Alyssa Parker. Her dream NIL is something called Bioma. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. A lot of them were naming these companies, and I would ask them and be like, what is this? What is True Moo? And she's like, it's milk.
A beauty brand. I don't know. Someone can help us out there in the chat.
But it was, just a quick note on Alyssa Parker. The location was a little iffy at times. The stuff is good. It moves. When that drop ball tumbles off the table for her, it's really, really hard to hit. She didn't have to throw her changeup all that much in the 18U championship because, frankly, they weren't hitting her drop. Because it rained game one and then game two was like insanely humid, she struggled a lot with her grip, and so that'll be something that she'll figure out how to manage once she gets to the college game. I'm sure Coach Gasso and Jen Rocha have a lot of ways to make sure that the ball isn't slipping out of your hand every third pitch. But Alyssa Parker is quite elite. And yes, Brady, I did not know what True Moo was or True Blue. I'm sorry, True Medina, True Moo and True Fu. Those were the two things. I didn't know what that was.
Here, we got the answer.
Okay, great.
Elite chocolate milk.
Sure.
Oh, there we go.
It's
just to finish up the scouting notes. Middle of the field profile is also really important as well. Catcher, pitcher, short, second, center fielder. Those are most of the time where your elite athletes are. Good movers. What kind of tools do they have? Tools in arm strength and speed, bat to ball contact, and all kinds of stuff like that. So taking a look at a lot of different metrics to evaluate talent and clutchness, right? I think that's something that, was it Coach Gasso that made that word up? Clutchness?
I don't know, but there was a test at the Alliance festivities. I beg your pardon, dear company who made this test.
Visual Edge? Is it Visual Edge?
Maybe. I can pull the read up.
Pretty sure it is.
Either way.
I got you. I'm pretty sure it's Visual Edge.
Okay, Visual Edge. Jordan Woolery. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there calling games with Jordan Woolery, and she was like, I'm going to take this test. And I said, Jordan, I watched you hit a home run in Supers last year with the season on the line. Think you're going to be good at this.
Yeah.
And she said, you're probably right. And then I watched her take this test, and it was fascinating. And to the shock of no one, she she scored very high. She scored like a 690, and I think 700 and above is elite, and 690. I found it odd that the metric seemed to go from like elite to above average. And I was like, Jordan, I think you're a little better than above average.
Yeah.
But she had a very, very, very high score, which was not a shock whatsoever. Shout out to Jordan Woolery.
Yeah, I've actually taken that test that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it goes over through kind of various scenarios, and there is a scale, but obviously as you get more people taking the test, it gets smarter, right? So I think in the beginning didn't have quite an idea what that scale looked like, but there are just interesting things that you can take a look at especially as a coach on the coaching side. So your players can take this test, and then you can understand what scenarios, situations that maybe make them uncomfortable. They have anxiety during, or things that they feel really confident in. So it is a really interesting test. Visual Edge, they do a nice job there, and it does measure kind of some clutchness through players. Fang has a question. Thoughts on Kendall Wells? Watch Kendall Wells a lot. She is going to be a really great addition for the Sooners. When I talk about elite, Kendall Wells at the plate she's just dangerous. Anytime that girl swings the bat, it comes off the barrel pretty darn hard. So you're probably going to see the ball flying out of the yard. And great receiver back there. I think she's got a really great demeanor, is able to communicate with the umpire, able to communicate with her pitcher. I could see her slotting in there pretty quickly and fighting for a starting position with Oklahoma City. So we don't know. I think there's a big jump from travel ball into college ball, and especially a big jump at that program. But I can tell you, knowing Kendall well, she's going to fight to get that starting position, and the Sooners they've got a good one heading over there.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, when I'm calling these alliance games, the All-Star game, 18U championships, and I see where kids are committed, I have their bios up on my laptop. For 18U, is very, very hard to make a board because I don't know who's in the game until I'm in Indy. But I've also got up the rosters and the construction of each team that they're going to. And one of the things that I'm always thinking about is who's going to be the immediate kid, because they're, past boards. I mean, 2 years ago, Alliance All-Star Game, we're talking about kids like Ella Parker and Sydney Peters and Jazzy Burns and, all these kids who instantly became impactful on their new teams. And one of the ones who really stuck out to me in the 18U championship, even though her team lost, was Elsa Morrison. With Tennessee kind of having a bit of a void behind the plate, Elsa, first off, kids are going to love her because of her name. The Frozen connotations are there. Let me tell you, she told me, she straight up said to me, children love me because my name is Elsa. And I was like, I get it. So every little girl in the Knoxville area is going to be going with the braid and going singing "Let It Go" at Sherry Parker, and I think that's going to make her immensely popular. She can also really swing the bat, and her power to all fields is what really, really stuck out to me, because I watched her hit 3 home runs and 2 of them were opposite field lasers. So she's got the potential to be a really, really important piece. And she's got to be excited too, because she's going to be catching Carlin Pickens if that indeed is the job that she gets this year as a starting catcher for the Lady Vols. But that was kind of one of the players who I felt is most ready and had the best opportunity ahead of her to be just like a day one, maybe full season freshman year starter, honestly.
Yeah, and I know you were at Alliance Gray, so in terms of, I watched Warrior Academy, who took home the 16U title throughout the summer. I watched the Aces as well. Both those programs were really impressive, and even the Bombers, 18U Bombers, Scott Smith's team, who their pitching coach is Kat Osterman. For those of you that don't know, not a bad pitching.
Have you heard of her?
Yeah,
Catherine Osterman.
Yeah, and Athletics Mercado Tid as well. Watched them a lot this summer. There's just so much young talent, And again, you can head on over to the website. We've got scouting notes on a lot of those athletes. They're not going to, take up the whole time here, but there's a lot of young talent throughout all of these teams. But in Lions, what stood out to you the most, Gray? Because I know that you were there and you were immersed in it. What and who stood out to you the most?
Well, I first I want to shout out Jamie Lowprice and the entire staff because they do a great job. And the city of Kokomo and Westfield, they do great jobs making sure that this works. Also, shout out to Turf because it did rain a good bit. And all you needed was just like a quick squeegee here and there, and off we go. Let's play softball. So, shout out to Jamie and the team. They do a great job putting together a format that really is realistic for the college game. It's just truncated. But I mean, it's the same thing they're going to be doing in the NCAA tournament once they get to college. Haley Nutter as a pitcher really, really jumped out to me in the All-Star game and also in the 18U championship. And I know I'm mentioning yet another player from the team that got swept by the Aces, but Haley Nutter gave up a grand slam in the second inning, and it was 5-0 Aces. And Brooke Vestal and I are looking at each other and we're going, like, it's about to fall off. Like this game is off the rails. Aces are going to win it 20-0. Like, this is just a carryover from last night. And to her credit, Haley Nutter, who's going to play at Kentucky, buckled down and did not give up a darn thing the rest of the game and gave her team a shot to come back and win. That stuck out to me. That grittiness is something that she's going to have in the SEC, that she's going to have at a program like Kentucky that's trying to build itself back up after a couple tough seasons, and on a pitching staff where there's not really a defined ace. The opportunity is there for her to go in and make a name for herself at Kentucky. So I was very, very impressed by her. I just mentioned the grand slam that was hit by Kelly Bogart, who had 10 RBIs in 2 games.
That's out of control.
What? I mean, come on. Like, that's filthy. She was crazy good. Sydney Forrester, I was getting texts from coaches who were talking about some of the players on the field that are committed to their schools. And it was so cool to hear how excited they were watching those games and kind of seeing what the future of their program was going to be like. I'm looking to see from the All-Star game if anybody else really, really jumped out at me. I really liked the patience of Hannah Wells and the demeanor of Hannah Wells. She's going to Texas. She was a National Gatorade Player of the Year. And when talking with her, she'd just come back from the ESPYs. She'd just been named National Gatorade Player of the Year. She's got every reason to, like, kind of be riding high and be, like, on the high horse. And that's just not her. That was not her at all. She's very cool, very chill, very much like, yeah, I just like softball, but it's what I do. It's not who I am. And I was like, thank you. That's a good mentality to have, especially when, right now it seems like you've got the whole world in front of you. She also, in the All-Star game, shout out to her, took 3 walks in All-Star games. And like, they were like a bunch of 3-1, 3-2s. All-Star games, we see it all the time. Kids are chasing. They're like, shoot, I might only get 2 at-bats. I'm not taking a walk. I'm going to try and get on with a hit. And Hannah Wells said, all right, you're going to walk me? Sure. Let me go to first. I just enjoyed her mentality, and I think she's going to be a real rock star with Texas this year.
Yeah, I mean, this whole summer, honestly, Gray, was able to be out at Atlanta Legacy, out to Colorado. I watched that All-Star game there. But when you talk about Texas, Annabelle Abdullah was I was really impressed with her. I think Texas and Texas A&M, OU, Peyton Westra. I know she's a 2026, but she's going to be huge. When you look at PGF, I know we're on Alliance, but go over to PGF. Just so those of you that are on here, we've got three actually different national tournaments in Triple Crown, PGF, and Alliance. And Gray was at Alliance, but PGF, Goose Goodwin from Arizona Rising, the lefty, so impressive, really leading that team, putting them on her back. She's going to Northwestern. That's a one to keep an eye on, just in terms of what she's able to do. Just been really impressed. And everybody knows Goose at this point, lefty, keeps the ball, curveball, rise ball, and can mix speeds. And she's got that demeanor in the circle. She's got a little bit of that attitude in the circle, fun to watch, just to a player that's going to be huge for Northwestern, and that is a name and a couple games I was able to watch because I think Game Changer is not allowed in Spain.
Oh,
Yeah, so I had to kind of figure out VPN wise how to watch some things, but figured it out. VPN is really handy for those that travel. But
yeah.
I've been really impressed with Goose all summer long, and she's going to be huge for Northwestern.
I got one more, and then we're going to go to the book club because I know a lot of you have been very patient
Yeah, they're
waiting for
waiting
us.
for this rule book.
I know. And I've got it right here. But you mentioned Warrior Academy and the 16U. Lila McLeod, 2 complete game victories. And, you know, we got like her scout before, and she listed all these things she throws, et cetera, et cetera. She only had to throw drop because it was so effective, and she was able to move it both sides of the plate. She was able to really, really just keep cooking that down movement, get a lot of ground balls, rolled a lot of ground balls that her defense could handle. And even when they couldn't handle them, she didn't panic. She was able to still kind of minimize the damage, even when a couple innings got squirrely because of errors. Lila McLeod, as far as I know, you know, she's a 27. She'll be getting all the calls in September, and she's one that her composure at such a young age really, really impressed me. I think she's got a lot of potential to be a rising star in the sport.
Yeah, I love it. Let's get to our rules. Does everybody have their rules out? I have mine printed.
You have yours printed. I have my book. All right, yeah, this is the call right now. If you don't have it up, I tweeted the link to the page where you can download the PDF. This is episode 1 of the Rule Book Club. And I'm going to play some music, I guess, to lead us into it. Let's go right here. Yeah. Will. There you go. I don't know.
Couldn't hear you.
Happy episode 1 of the Rule Book Club. We're going to Appendix G,
which is video review.
That's correct. Pages 171 and 172 in your book.
Get your books out, everybody.
Get your books out. So, real quick, I thought that this was interesting. And again, we're going to talk about some of the proposed rule changes to this in just a moment. This is a list of all the designated plays that are allowed for video review. In each, it does specify a bunch of the rules for how video review is going to be utilized. Each coach has 2 challenges. A lot of folks want the challenges to stay if you get a call right, and we can discuss that a little bit later. I thought it was interesting, something that I hadn't noticed until I was previewing for this pod. There is an exception to the video review stanza at the very, very top. The crew chief may not initiate a review of runners leaving early on a pitch.
Yeah.
I love that. I didn't know that was there. I'd never thought about it. I love it.
Yeah, so that's in the first section of the actual Appendix G. I'm just going to keep saying Appendix G. Like, we can thank Karen Weekly and Aubrey Leach for this. So we can all focus on Appendix G. We knew video review was obviously a part of the rule books. We just didn't know it was called Appendix G.
I mean, we get this card with all this stuff at the beginning of every year when we do TV games, and I had just never seen it labeled as Appendix G. I knew it was in the rule book.
Yeah. So what Gray is pointing out is the crew chief may not, so they cannot initiate a review of runner leaving early on a pitch.
Yes, they're allowed, starting with the 6th inning, to initiate a review on anything else in here except leaving early.
There you go. Did everybody learn that today? That's one thing everybody can learn today.
The more you know. Okay, plays subject to review. Regarding batted balls, any ball higher than the top of the foul pole when it leaves the yard cannot have that aspect reviewed, which, by the way, let me just add a little nugget here. Let's make foul poles taller.
Yes, I know. Like, they're not tall enough.
No.
Especially now with the way that these athletes are able to hit at this point in time with the bat technology. You seeing a ball hit sky high, and the foul pole is what, like 10 feet tall, some of them?
Yeah. I mean, you'll see some, what was it? Was it LSU, Louisiana a few years ago in the Baton Rouge Regional? And I I believe it was Georgia Clark, had a home run go right over the foul pole. They ruled it foul, but it was kind of iffy, and there was no way to change it on review because
It's higher than the foul pole.
there wasn't an angle. It was higher than the foul pole. So
okay, so that's number one.
Yeah, you can decide bat a ball, fair or foul, if it's called fair. Again, I think that this gets into the stickiness part of not getting your challenges back, because I would be of the mind that I would love for umpires, if there's any doubt, just call it fair, and then they can challenge it. But at the same time, then you run the risk of wasting your challenges if that happens too many times early in a game. It's kind of a slippery slope.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody when we didn't have challenges.
I know this is a lot, right? We're going to get to that bullet point in a minute.
Right? We didn't have challenges at all, and now coaches want their challenges back, which is going to, potentially could happen.
Right. Anything else on batted balls? I mean, this is the easy part, right? This is, is it fair or foul, etc.
Yeah, a fair or foul. If a batted ball called foul should be ground rule double or a home run. So if it's is or is not a home run.
Right.
There were some home runs that were hit at Tennessee, I believe, in the regional or super regional, that hit off of that metal part of the stands.
Yes.
So is it fair? Is it a home run, or is it a ground rule double, or a double, or just a hit?
Yes, that was also something that was added a few years ago, possibly because of something that happened in the Alabama game. Sorry to Missouri. Regarding pitch balls at the plate, this is number 2. Deciding if a pitch ruled a drop third strike was caught before the ball touched the ground. Okay. Live or dead ball can be changed to a foul ball. Foul ball can be changed to a foul tip only with no base runners, or if it would result in a third out. And the hit by pitch one. This was tested a lot this year, whether the ball hit the batter, whether the ball was entirely in the batter's box, whether the batter made an attempt to get out of the way of the pitch when required, which I think still people are a little fuzzy on what that means, and whether the batter intentionally tried to get hit by the pitch, which, oftentimes is kind of up for interpretation. We can guess, but guessing intent is kind of impossible. So unless it's super clear, which players are smart enough to not do that. So that's the 2D is kind of the one that sticks out to me as maybe the trickiest, and the one that I feel like we have to use challenges on because we miss it in real time the most.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to see, obviously, and especially if they're wearing a complete arm guards and chin, leg, hip, everything guards. I think players are more likely to take a pitch, and so that is also whether the batter made an attempt. So that's up to the umpire to decide whether the batter made an attempt or not.
Yeah, which you do, but you don't have to get out of the way. It's fuzzy. Yeah.
If you're in the batter's box, right?
Yeah.
You're good. But again, it leaves it up to the umpire. That is related to Rule 11-13. So those of you that aren't looking at this Appendix G, we will go into Rule 11 at some point, so we can break that down at a later date. But that's all Section 2 regarding pitch balls at the plate.
Yeah, number 3 is spectator interference. This is pretty easy, and I've never seen it happen. Have you? Like, leading to a review in softball. We've seen it in baseball.
No, not that I can think of. No.
Anyone have any examples? And also at the same time, viewers and listeners, let's keep it that way. Stay off the field. It's not for you. Okay. I don't know what accent that was.
I was thinking, are you from Boston?
I don't know what just happened. My Big 12 water bottle is turning me into a different person.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny, Gray. You just turned into like you had a Boston accent, like you're from. Wow.
I don't know what.
Stay off the field per Gray.
That's not for
Number
you.
4, obstruction and interference can be reviewed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it's going to be an entire rule podcast about
Yes.
obstruction.
We will do a full episode about obstruction, and it will be long and it will be very fun.
Yes.
Let's see. Number 5. Deciding. So this one, I've actually seen this reviewed a lot more lately. Deciding if malicious flagrant contact occurred.
Yeah.
Umpires may initiate this review without requiring a coach's challenge at any point in the game to ensure student athlete safety. Not only have I seen it reviewed, I've seen it. Yeah, I mean, obviously this popped out in LSU, Texas.
Yep.
With the play over at first base, but I saw it in Alabama, Texas A&M a few years ago. There was a scenario we had review in the FGCL this summer where a coach tried to make this happen in a summer game, and I was like, I'm not looking at that. Sorry, we're not ejecting any kids in a summer league. But this is again, this is kind of one of those up for interpretation situations, and it just depends on what the review center sees.
Yeah. I mean, when we take a look at all these reviewable plays, we're only on 5, right? Like,
right.
We're at 5, everybody. So there's a lot that can be reviewed and there's a lot that can't be reviewed. And once we get through the whole list, we're going to, well, there's a lot more, but we're going to talk about what is actually being looked at in terms of video review and the committee, what the committee is recommending. And I believe they actually meet on August 13th to go over some of these recommendations that they have for, because this is a rules change year. So they're going to meet on August 13th. And we'll go through the video review section after we get through this. So that's malicious or flagrant contact. The next one is timing plays. Deciding whether a third out is made before the lead base runner touches home plate.
Yeah, super basic.
Yeah.
I obviously should be on this list, especially with the amount of cameras that we have. It's very, very easy to time up, get in sync. That can be quite simple. Force/tag play calls. This is 7. Plays involving all runners acquiring the base before the defensive player's attempt to put the runner out at any base. First off, that's a very, very confusing way to write that sentence. I just want to say that. That's why. Just there are other ways to do that. Are they safer out? I mean, they're whatever.
Acquiring a base. They've acquired a base.
Yes, that's what that is.
Plays involving all runners acquiring the base before the defensive player's attempt to put the runner out at any base. It's almost like a British person wrote this.
I don't know what sound that was. Let's go to 8. Blocked or dead ball / placement of runners. So this is where we get into some of the like eye roll inducing a little bit stuff. Deciding whether a ball not ruled blocked should be ruled blocked and the proper placement of runners per the rules / casebook after any blocked or dead ball call. If I'm correct, I believe this is the review aspect that was heartily involved in the Arkansas-Florida fiasco.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a nightmare.
Oh, remember Matt? Is that when Maddie Shipman had her rule book out?
Yes, and Maddie Shipman was like she and Eric Freed were like basically doing this podcast.
Yeah.
On the air.
It doesn't have. I wish that in this. So this is a suggestion for the committee. I like how when they have this video review and they link it to the actual rule, I think they should do that for every single video review call. And they should link it to say what rule it is. Because I said, we're going to go over rule 11. Like they should actually link that to that rule. Like this is what it's actually looking at.
This is the one that I feel like has the most loopholes. And this is where I get into a little bit of my soapbox of how do we have so many rules and yet also not enough rules? Like just say it.
So many rules.
There are so many rules, and yet this is not specific enough at all to allow for common sense to seep into the argument like it should have in Florida, Arkansas. If the umpires mess up, then this should be what happens, as opposed to, well, we got to go look at A, and then we got to go to Appendix G, and then bullet point 8, and then we got to let's refer back to the
And then
case
the
book.
exception of the rule. And then
Right.
if this happens, then there's another exception.
And then we got to call somebody in Indy who's out playing golf because they didn't think they had to work tonight. And now here we are. Like we gotta.
Indy? Are you just saying that because you were just there?
Well,
the video review in Indy?
I believe the NCAA offices are still in Indy, right? Are they not?
I didn't think video review was there. That was okay.
Pittsburgh for the tournament. But my point is we have so many rules and it's really, really annoying. But at the same time, some of the rules that we need just aren't in here. And I think we got to continue to update, and that's why we have rule change years. Yeah. I kind of think we should just have every year be a rule change year because sometimes we can't wait. We have to hurry and make sure that the game catches up with the speed of the athlete and the teams that we have on the field right now in college softball.
Yeah, I mean, that runners leaving early on the home runs was so ridiculous.
It was brutal. That should have been changed in March.
In the middle of the year. Should be changed in the middle of the year. Be like, hey, guys, this isn't working. Like, this isn't right. We got to change this right now. I know that you can't do that, but I agree with you, Gray. Number 9, a catch or no catch in any situation. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Yes. That you do get into a little bit of a placing runners thing if a catch is ruled a no catch, because then you got to be like, well, where was the runner, etc. But
I think that's the least of your worries.
Yeah, I'd rather get the call right. A couple years ago, there was a situation, I think it was Florida, Mississippi State, where Kendra Falby, it was ruled a catch and she didn't catch it. Or maybe it was the opposite. I don't know. But they basically couldn't look at it because I guess they ruled it an out, but she didn't catch it, but they couldn't do anything about it because they didn't want to place runners. And I'd rather have the potential to get it right.
Cheyenne's going to pull clips for us.
She spelled my name wrong. Cheyenne?
Autocorrect. Come on, give her some slack here.
I'm all about Cheyenne.
Gray with an A, everybody. Gray with an A. We will get you some clips. I love this idea, Cheyenne. Clips.
That we started specifically with Appendix G because it's kind of the most general of the ones. When we get more specific, there will be clips. Haley has a question. With Rule 9, what happens with the runners on base? Like, they either need to tag or go, but if the call is wrong, can they be out?
Good question.
That's a great question. Guess what? Not specified. What we read is how it's written. It's like a 7-word sentence.
I'm guessing it's this is why I want it to be attached to a certain part of the rule book, because then we could know where to go about what they mean. I mean, that is in the rule book. We could, when we get to catch, no catch, we'll let you know, Haley.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about video review. Again, another interesting part of how there's no exception there.
Last
explanation.
Last 2, runners leaving the base leaving early. We all know what that is. Sometimes it's insane. Runners missing a base and also leaving early on a pitch. And finally, any of the listed reviewable items if the action on the field results in a dead ball. Now, I will say, I had somebody approach me at the World Series, and I think this is right. I don't know why we don't do it like in football, where every scoring play is reviewed. If it's a scoring play, let's just take a look at it. We can get that done very, very quickly. And in football, that gets knocked out in 30 seconds. Sometimes they don't even stop for a review. But if it's a play at the plate and she's out and a team's out of challenges and it's the 5th inning, and it's okay if we buzz down and take the 10 seconds and change it, I think, personally. All right. So, Tara, what is on the docket with video review?
All right.
In this rules change year, besides, I'll start here, the recommendation that a team would retain its challenges.
Correct. That is number 1. Committee recommends that if a video review challenge is used and the call in the field is changed, that team would retain its challenge. So you have 2 challenges, you challenge, and the call is reversed, then you get to keep your challenge. It's basically like, hey, you're right, you get to keep your challenge. I can't remember, it was a Stanford game when Jessica Allister had to use one of her challenges so early, and I was shaking my head like, oh man, that's a bummer that you have to use your challenge on that, and now she gets it back.
as it should be. I mean, because sometimes this year was not a great umpiring year. I'm just going to be honest. And there were some times where coaches had to use them in the first or second inning on obvious calls. I mean, that's what kills me is, we'll be doing TV and we'll see, an opposing coach or Coach Murphy have to come out about a play at first where she beat it by like the ball is here and the glove is here and they called her out. And we're sitting there like, this is so dumb. Like, I can't believe they have to use a challenge on this when she's so obviously safe. And we had, looked at it for 0.3 seconds. I mean, I think this is how it should go.
I see both sides because you used to not have a challenge. So at least you get to challenge and you get it.
Sure. But
that's looking at it glass half full.
Sure.
Maybe we can agree to disagree. Okay, what else is getting looked at? If a game goes into extra innings, all remaining challenges would carry over. These are recommendations, everybody. These are recommendations by the committee members. And this is only on video review. There's numerous ones, but we'll go over those in another rules book club. Okay, other recommendations to video review systems include a video challenge would be allowed if interference, including collisions, is not called on the field and the ball remains live. So if it's a dead ball, then it doesn't come into play. But a video challenge would be allowed if interference, including collisions, is not called on the field and the ball remains live.
Yeah. So the next one kind of ties in with that. Read the next bullet point, and then we'll talk about interference.
Interference called on the field would not be reviewable. Again, interference called on the field would not be reviewable, and all base runners would remain at the bases they were occupying. There's an exception. The exceptions to non-reviewable interference calls would be spectator and batter interference. Interference called on the field would not be reviewable. So it's called on the field, they're saying it's not reviewable. And all base runners would remain at the bases they were occupying. The exception, so there is an exception to non-reviewable interference calls, would be spectator and batter interference.
I have a lot of, yeah. Yeah, I do. I'm trying to, I feel like this is setting up for an issue with that. If it's not, if when it's called, it's not reviewable, you just gotta make sure you're right. Just gotta make sure you're right. You gotta make sure you get the call right. Gotta make sure that everything is monitored properly. Okay. I mean, I feel like we had a lot of interference issues in games, specifically runner interference. A lot of that popped up this season more so than I can remember. So I like that they're trying to address it. I don't necessarily know. So I think this is probably the best way to do it. I don't know if there's ever going to be a right way to do it. You know what I mean?
So I would believe that umpires would err on the side of not calling it, correct?
Yeah. That would be the hope.
That would to then go and do a video review to see if it's actually interference. But if they call it on the field, it's not reviewable, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
Unless spectator or batter interference.
And you know what? You know how I feel about spectator interference.
Yeah, I know. You have an accent to
go. It's not for you. Stay off the field. Not for you.
You guys should hear his British accent or his English accent. It's quite funny.
It's great.
So that's interference. And then also looking at a no catch call within the infield would be reviewable only if it results in the third out with runners on base or any time with the batter runner only. However, a catch call within the infield area is not reviewable at any time.
So where did this happen? Is my question.
A no catch call, so no catch within the infield would be reviewable only if it results in the third out or with runners on in the third out with runners on base, or anytime with the batter runner only. So just with nobody on base.
I feel extremely confident that this rule is never going to pop up.
Well, it's in here.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm just saying, like, this seems like something that happened at one point, and I'm glad they put it in there, because if it happened, that means it can't happen again. But this doesn't feel like one that we're going to be drawing upon very often.
Watch where this is going to happen.
Well, but I say that saying, like, rules committee should accept all these. Like, if it's happened before, it can happen again. Just because it's not going to happen like every game doesn't mean we shouldn't have the resources ready in case something does arise. Like, say, I don't know, if you escort a teammate back to home plate, like, if it happened once, it can happen again. So yes, that's kind of a small one to me, but something that I still feel is important.
Yeah.
Specifically on the infield, I should say.
On the infield.
Yeah.
Next one. This one is hysterical to me because I have a story. If video review is conducted on site by the crew chief, the monitors should not be within any team area. At least one umpire should remain on the field during a video review.
So this is already a rule, or at least it was this year, because at Alabama, they put the video review area next to the clubhouse. So, like, no one could be around the clubhouse during the game. Everybody had to be in the stands. It was a whole thing.
I just know, I think it was 2 years ago, or it was got to be 2 years ago. UCLA's video review is right next to the visitors' dugout. And so the umpires would be doing the video review, and the visiting team is like literally watching the entire review in front of them. Like, I remember thinking, this doesn't look like a good idea, guys. Like, you get the whole team and the coaching staff behind you looking at the video review. But yeah, so it should not be within any team areas, which it wasn't a team area. It was right by the dugout. So
right.
Just
general. That's also the other issue, is where are there quote unquote general areas that the general public can't get to? At Alabama, it's basically the clubhouse. Like, that's kind of it. Like, you got to go like alongside the wall next to the clubhouse between the bullpen and the playing field. I'm sure that that's an issue for a lot of fields, trying to find an area to set up that equipment.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what field or what game it was where the umpires had to run like a mile to get to the video review, and it was just taking forever because they had to go like back to get to video review. So it's taking a lot of time in general, all of these video reviews.
Yes.
The least amount of time that it can take is probably better it is better for our sport. So again,
Haley brought that up, and I'll let you go back to it, Tara. But
yeah.
Haley, who I met at Rhodes, by the way. Hi, Haley. I also think that there should be a time limit for challenges, because if you cannot see it in 30 to 45 seconds, then go for it. And as someone who had to be a challenge system this summer, that was kind of our mode of operations. Like, there was one time where the internet went down and an umpire and I had words, because he was like, it's been a minute, I'm sticking with the call. And I was like, hold on, the Wi-Fi's down, chill, bro. But otherwise, you can kind of see it fairly early. And I'm of the mind, like, if I can't see it in 2 or 3 looks, let's go.
So, but monitors should not be within any team areas.
Yes.
But they should be close enough to where the umpires aren't having to run a mile to get to them. So
agreed.
Last one. During a video review, the defensive team should remain on the field and could huddle or warm up. So they can huddle or warm up. Offensive players could leave the batter's box, the bases, and on deck circle. However, once the umpire returns with a decision, both teams must be ready to play. If there's a defensive delay, a ball would be added. If there was an offensive delay, a strike would be added to the count.
This is common sense. It was so stupid that no one could talk or do anything during reviews. Like, you would see teams like slowly during these reviews kind of come into chat in the early days, and the umpires would be like, no, go back to second base. Like, the pitchers had to just kind of stand there.
Your voices are so funny today. That's an umpire voice.
I'm excited to get my cakes later. I'm glad that this is now common sense. And honestly, the walk from the review center to the area where they do the and then announce the call, that's like a full 45-second situation. If you're not ready to play after that, that's kind of on you, and coaches will react accordingly. So I think that this is a much easier way to handle college kids kind of being college kids and talking to their teammates and, spending time during the delay. Why are we making them stand there like they're in a tiny glass prison at their position? Let's let them do what they need to do, especially in these situations where the reviews go 25 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, should have. Well, we'll go into that when we get into our obstruction rules, which there's some recommendations by the committee. Last one, it's in another section, but it kind of ties into video review. Sorry, Gray.
No, go for it.
Propose that once a play is under review, replays of the play could be shown at any speed on the in-game video board. I love it.
More common sense.
I love it. So
let's let the people see.
Yes, I love that. So once a video review is initiated, replays can be shown at any speed.
We have the technology. The video review can pull up the TV feed very, very easily, like the big screen. I've seen it done at a lot of places. So yeah, just tap into our feed. You can see what we see. It's perfect.
Yeah, if I'm a coach and I don't have a video board, I'm just going out to fundraise for one right now.
Yep. And a way to make the game day experience better too, because we want them to come to the games. I mean, watching on TV is fun. Thank you for your patronage and viewership, but come to the games too. That's what makes the atmosphere on TV so great. The people.
So those are the recommendations by the committee, which changes. We don't have a list of the committee members, the rules committee, but we will for our next episode.
I believe Coach White is still on there.
I think he's done. I think Coach
is he done
on there?
Timmy, podcast friend Tim Walton.
Yeah, Walton's World. I believe Tim is on the rules committee. I think Mighty is done. I think he was done last year or this year. I think he's done.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I have time. If I can pull it up. Committees.
It was on the rule book, but it was old, so their terms had expired.
That's right. It is on the rule book.
It is on the rule book, so it's in there for historical references. The rules committee, when that the new rules come out, it's published in there.
Oh yeah, as far as I know, yeah, great call. These are the only people who are holding over for the August 13th. Is that?
Meeting, yep, I believe on August 13th they will.
Okay. Tracy Addix Zins. She will be expiring. Her term expires like 2 weeks later. So, congrats, Tracy. Tina Phillips from University of Pittsburgh Bradford. Trisha Senyo from Whittier College. Vicky Van Cleek will still be going. She's a non-voting member. She's the Secretary of Rules editor. And everybody else is going to be new. So you're exactly right. Coach White's tenure did end 2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Random aside, will you ever high five Coach Gasso next Norman visit? Sure. I would love to high five. There was discussion of her joining us on the air in Indy, but there are a lot of reasons why coaches can't do that. So that didn't happen, but that was briefly discussed. All right, I want to ask one replay related question because, Tara, we just spent 30 minutes listing all the things that are reviewable and all the things they're proposing with, frankly, minimal analysis. We spent most of that time literally just reading the book, which is kind of what you do in a book club. But is the sport better because of this? Have we oversimplified it? Have we overcomplicated it? Are we winning? Is softball winning by having video review and having to cycle through an appendix that is only going to grow after this vote coming up in a few weeks?
I think it is a case-by-case basis. I think when you see a call that is wrong and they get it right, you're thinking, okay, this is why we have this. But also, it's making our games longer. And I don't there's just a lot in here. That was a lot to even, like you said, there was no real analysis there. We just were listing it. And this is just an appendix. We haven't even gotten into the actual rule book.
Right.
And so it just takes away the judgment from the umpires, which people in general don't love the judgment of umpires, but also, I don't know. I'm back and forth on it. I like some aspects of it, but I don't like how long it takes sometimes, most of the time.
It's very, very hard in a game as a player, as a coach, certainly as a broadcaster. If there are a bunch of reviews, it's very, very hard to get into any kind of flow, any kind of rhythm.
Yep, momentum.
It grinds the game to a halt. Florida, Arkansas is like a funny meme, but that was frankly a disaster. Like, we should not be reviewing things for 25 minutes. UCLA, Tennessee was, again, like, we can look back at it and laugh. Like, Jordan Woolery and I were, talking about it. We cracked some review jokes on the air when there was a challenge in the game we were calling, but that was a disaster. That was an absolute disaster. And unfortunately, when we overcomplicate the thing that is working really well for a lot of sports, like video review, they've got it. Like tennis, nailed it. I think football, in a lot of ways, it still has some ways to go, but they get it fairly quickly. And it seems like softball right now is the one that's still trying to figure it out the most. And that aspect makes it hard for people just checking it out to stay fully invested in it. Like I mentioned way back in OKC, a lot of my friends who aren't softball fans texting me asking what's going on UCLA, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm sure they turned it on. They were interested. And then after 5 minutes, they said, why is there no decision? You know what? Let's go see what's on TBS. And
well, the thing with that one is that unfortunately that play, it shouldn't have been that long. Should have known that they couldn't reviewed it. If they would have just said, nope, not reviewable, wouldn't have had to be, what was it, 20 minutes, 25 minutes of that review. So a lot of it has to do with how many rules there actually are and how many rules the umpires have to memorize and know and take tests on, which there is a cool thing that happened in Colorado. Umpires were training, and I think this is a really cool aspect of what they're trying to accomplish here. Is NCAA umpires were able to come to Colorado, and they had a lot of World Series umpires were on microphones and coaching the various umpires that were in Colorado, officiating the 16Us, 18Us, and working on their positioning, working on their calls. Then they do debriefs, and they were getting evaluated. So they are working to get better. And this is my only thing that I'm going to say to the people that are in this chat. If you have a problem with umpires and you want to complain about it, then you should go be an umpire. It's not an easy job.
No.
And so I understand that you want to get calls right, but also don't sit there and just be a keyboard warrior and say umpire is this, umpire is that. If you really feel passionate about something, then you should go and do it. So I encourage you to become an umpire.
I agree. As again, I talked about this earlier, I was the challenge system in the FGCL. And to your point, there are a lot of umpires who do want to learn. And who, like, I would have umpires come up to me and say, hey, can you go back and look at that? I want to, like, can you send it to me? I want to see it again just to make sure. And I'd be like, yeah, you got the call right. I went and looked in real time. I'd be like, all right, but, I want to go watch the clip again. We did have a couple umpires who did not like that I changed their calls. And to that, I say, you kind of got to get off your high horse in that regard. Because if this is going to be part of the process, then sometimes
you were official. You were official.
Oh, yeah. There was one call I changed on a runner's interference, and I overheard the umpire turn back to the batter and go, somebody needs the rule book. And I was like, brother, it's right here. I got it. Like, we're good. That's fine. But all in all, I think we are seeing more umpires warming up to the idea of how this works. And I want to make it very clear, my comments a moment ago were my comments, but I do think review has helped. I am not one of the people that wants to go back to the dark ages of just kind of having to roll with what was happening, because we've gotten, a little squirrely with the length of reviews that we've seen the last few years. I do think it's very important that these review centers get the call right, because there were also a couple weeks in the SEC, quite frankly, shouting out the conference. I'm sorry I've turned against you, apparently. Where we would go to Birmingham and they would still get the call wrong. It would be very like we would see it on our screens. We would see it as the viewing public. And well, there's the ball in the glove and her foot is here and the bag is here. And then they would rule her safe and stuff like that. So I don't know what the disconnect is in that regard sometimes. But that also needs to help because there were, I think this season, more frustrations than ever with some of the calls that went to review centers in conference play.
Yeah. Well, we just went through Appendix G. That's just two sheets of 200-page rule book.
Yeah.
So
what episode should we do next, chat? Hit us up. Do you want to do obstruction?
I'm sure they're going to want obstruction.
Yeah. Let me answer this question from Fang. Do you get the Hawkeye feeds in the booth? We do. We get that for TV and for radio, which we appreciate. There were some times where the Hawkeye feed would show us quite clearly what was happening, and then the opposite would be ruled by the replay center. So there were moments where I was sitting there like, is the replay center getting Hawkeye? Which I'm sure, but I don't know. Just need to clean that up a little bit. Fang says strike zone.
Okay. Yeah. Any other suggestions, let us know. And to just piggyback off of that for Gray in the booth, a lot of the times the play-by-play and the analysts don't get to hear what the umpire is saying to the coach. So I know that people will get upset about the analysis that you're hearing, but there also should be some transparency there. And I think this would be great if there was a mic to hear what the umpire is actually saying to the coach and then what the coach is asking. Because sometimes it's hard to decipher what they're actually appealing or reviewing until they say it on the microphone. And then obviously they'll have the explanation to them. These are more on non-video review plays as well. So I think there's a lot there that people don't get to hear and get to hear the explanations. And that's why hopefully we can bring on an umpire and some coaches for our next rule book club so they can give us some real life examples. And Cheyenne, we can get you to pull some film of these real examples so that we can all get on here together as one big Softball America family to go over the rule book.
I love that idea because then you get into the piece of like, well, which umpires are good communicators? Because some are very good. They're very thorough. They'll let you know, the crowd, the TV people, the radio crew, the players, they'll let you know what they're looking at and what the call is. And then there are some who walk up and go, after further review, she's out. And you're like, huh? What does that mean? Because she was safe and this doesn't make sense. So perhaps the other thing we need to do is make sure that we properly dictate to umpires what information they need to relay to the crowd when they do the.
I think they're just going to say safe or out. They're like, we got to go back to our job.
But sometimes like we need to know, like after further review, we're looking at the play at first base at what? Like tell us what we're looking at. Are we looking at obstruction? Are we looking at interference? Are we looking at safe or out? We can guess. But sometimes our guess is wrong.
Now you're asking the umpires to be the MCs?
I'm asking the umpires to use like 5 extra words.
I love it.
Is that crazy?
Yes, Amanda would like the mics to work. She is really on this, the microphones for the umpires to work to get it so that we can hear the extra 5 words.
Yes. Yeah. Just 5 extra words. That's it. I'm not asking for a dissertation. I just would like to know what we're looking at.
My goodness.
I gotta go pick up my cakes. Anything else that you want to talk about, Tara, before we say bon voyage and get our notes ready for Rule Book Club Part 2?
Let us know if you guys liked this podcast. If you want to do another Rule Book podcast, we're probably going to do it, but leave your comments and questions on here. We will get into teams and we will get into some of that analysis of the transfer portal and all that as we get closer to fall, but we're really going to spend this time looking at the rule book, and any big news we'll bring to you. But let us know if you liked it, and we'll keep doing it.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading this summer rule book club. Thank you, Fang.
Awesome.
Yeah, once we get into the nitty gritty, the obstruction episode, like, come on. It's going to be like
Video.
the Oppenheimer of podcasts.
Yeah, a lot of video.
Full with an explosion and everything. Who knows what'll go down? Could be fiery. Tara, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
I enjoyed our time.
Great to be back in America.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. And I can't wait to talk about whatever we talk about next. Again, here's the beautiful thing with Pro Ball. I like AU Pro Cup is coming up like Friday.
Yeah, the second. Isn't it the second?
Saturday? I don't know what. It's the 30th apparently. So it's coming up in a few days. So we'll have that. We'll have more recruiting stuff. We'll have more portal stuff. Who knows what else could go down.
Yep.
We'll also have Rule Book Club Part 2. Thank you to everybody who joined in the chat. Thank you to everybody behind the scenes who posted and made things happen. Brady, thanks for joining us. Thank you, Lane, for the very nice comment. Tara, you're the best, and it was wonderful to see you.
You're the best. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you maybe next week.
I'm down. I got nothing to do. Okay, for Tara Henry.
See you next week.
I'm Gray Robertson. This has been Good Morning Softball America, Rule Book Club, Episode 1. We'll catch you next time.